Okay. So question 3. If you could choose design a job for your partner, what would it be? It's a really good question.
It's yours, don't we?
No, we are both answering.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, I know what it would be. If you just find a way to work in the NBA, if you'd be a basketball player, I think I'd design a job for you in the NBA. I think you'd really thrive.
Okay, that's accurate. It's accurate. Okay, let me think. I have a habit. I have a habit of speaking anxiously. So I'll take a bit of time just to gather my thoughts. I'm torn. I'm torn because you love organizing. So if you could get paid to organize spaces and things like that, I think that's something you'd love. And I still think you have a knack for finance. So with the right setting and environment, I still think you'd thrive in that as well.
Almost.
Okay.
Almost.
What's the remaining bit?
I think I'd thrive in the humanitarian space. I really think if I do policy work, if I do something along those lines, I think I'd really thrive, or be a social entrepreneur. Yeah.
I feel like this question isn't fair, but go ahead.
Just ask.
Does your partner prefer advice or listening ear? I don't think this question is fair because...
It's a very good question.
I don't think it's fair because as a guy, I'm used to advice. But then marriage has taught me sometimes advice is not what is needed.
So what do I prefer?
Different times. Sometimes advice, sometimes just a listening ear. For me?
Advice. Advice all the way. Yeah. Ladies, you know, this question, this is a very important question. These are the things you fight about when you're married. Yeah. Even when you're in relationships.
Can I interject and just ask? For my own personal consumption.
Yes.
Like why is it just we are wired different?
Yeah. I think women, please don't come at me, but I think men go into problem solving mode immediately. So you're having a rough day, I give Sidney a call and he's there. Now, this is what we'll do. You, what did you do? I don't want to be asked what I did. You're supposed to side with me. If I don't like Nani, you don't like Nani. If I don't, be in my feelings. Sit in my feelings with me. But I think Sidney does a good job. At the first few days, I used to be so mad because I'm going to him to feel better. You're going to seek solace. And this person is giving you solutions. If I wanted solutions, I'd have called my father.
Could you say that Sidney does a good job again so that they use that bit for the promo?
Cut that part out. But yeah, Sidney does a good job because he's learned how to strike a balance. And I'm pretty rational, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's amongst your strongest qualities.
That part. Yeah. Is there a purchase one or both of you made that you regret? Is there a purchase one or both of you? Is it going to be a big purchase, a small purchase?
Just anything you regret.
Anything we regret?
Could be even food. Just anything.
Do you have purchases you regret?
I rarely regret my purchases because I really hate is it called buyer dissonance? Where you go back home and you start beating yourself up over what you bought. So I usually, and it really annoys Sydney, I take my time before I buy something. I'm one of those people who research, over-analyze. I won't speak for you, but you're opposite. You're on the extreme end. So I really research before I buy stuff. So no, I don't think there's anything that comes to mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think my most recent is okay. I have a habit of I don't know if it's everyone, but one, I'm actually I'm extroverted around the people I know, but I'm very introverted. I don't like crowds. I don't like I don't like, but I don't know how to handle those situations, so I avoid. So when I'm in a setting where I have to buy something, and sometimes, or someone sort of pushes me into making a purchase that I didn't even want, I anxiously sometimes will just go forward with it and then regret later. So we were at this place with Sheila, I think about 3 months ago. So walking around, and then we saw some colognes that were supposedly supposed to be on sale, right? So I sounded like, let me just go.
Could I?
Yeah, go ahead.
As he was hurriedly looking at the colognes, I was doing my research. I was looking at the perfumes. I'm Googling. So you can continue. I was doing my research. Yeah.
So that situation where I'm like 40%, I wanted to buy one, but I was like from 40% thinking I should buy it, 60% is not so sure. Then the guy who was doing the sale started, showing me like the variants of that scent and giving me, testing. Let me smell this. So I was like, okay, I think I can settle for this. So we go to where you're supposed to pay. Then they first of all they packaged it, and they packaged it really, really well.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, I've just made them do all this. I can't back out now. Then they brought the pedicure machine, and then
you swiped.
And then I swiped. And then when you get the message, you're like, wow. So you're pissed, but you're forcing yourself to smile. Oh, thank you, Suji, for. So you get home, and then I could not have any of it. So I called them. I was like, hey, this thing was a gift for someone, and that person doesn't like this. So
Can I return it?
So they don't take returns. That one really hurt me.
It's a rich scent.
It really hurt me to my soul. By the way, if I could still return it to date, I would.
I wouldn't. It's good to have a rich scent in your collection.
So that purchase, but usually it's a small purchases that annoy me sometimes. Like when I pay for food and then the food doesn't turn out to be good, that annoys me.
Yeah.
But usually the big purchases, not quite, because I think by the time mostly when I'm going to pay, I've already reconciled in my mind that I'm making this purchase. It's the small ones that really, really get to me.
Yeah. You're next.
I feel like this is a me thing, but what song does your spouse play on repeat? You rarely play songs on repeat. So I don't even.
So Sidney finds a new song. He will abuse the song. He'll abuse the artist. The artist will beg for water. The artist will be sick and tired. Honestly, our Caraids, oh God.
Has he moved on from Korea's story?
Oh my goodness, he moved on. And now, so he plays his songs on repeat. It's not a bad thing, but sometimes you just want to play fresh stuff and acclimatize with new things.
But don't I have a good taste in songs, no? No?
Like, quiet taste. No, you do. You have really good playlists, but when you overplay them, you really kill the artist. Okay.
What's the last one again?
Okay.
What's the last?
One more.
There's one more. What is one tradition from your family that you want to take? What is one tradition from your family that you want to take into your family? One tradition from my family that I want to take into my family. I think my family tradition, I think it's just friendship. We are really, really good friends. Like, my best friends are my sisters. So if we can just carry that along with us, where even our future children get to enjoy hanging out with us, hanging out with our siblings, I think that would be such a good tradition, because it's never a dull moment. I actually always look forward to hanging out with my family. Yeah. And the family dinners that we used to have Friday dinner. So, like, everyone would just go home. We have dinner together, and I think that tradition died down a little when we got much older and responsibilities came up, but I really want it to be a thing. Like if we can have Friday dinners or Saturday hangouts, I think that would be good. But I think we're slowly getting there. I think you enjoy hanging out with family.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Let's see. So that I don't also be just say same. So growing up, when we were young, so my mom used to be a teacher in an American-based system school, and so she really picked up a lot of that culture. So most of the things she made us do would arguably be considered very white.
Yeah.
Like in like whenever I explain to people like where she'd do this, or she used to do this and that kind of thing. So one of the things is one, she was never afraid of speaking about anything. Like there was no topic that was out of bounds. And two, she'd make us right, which didn't make sense then, but like when I've grown older, it's made a whole lot more sense. Like when you do something wrong, of course, not occasionally, she's like any African parent, she'd still beat us, but then she had a very good sense of choosing between what requires beating and what requires like a discussion. So sometimes when you do something wrong, sometimes she wouldn't beat you, she'd ask you to go write down what you think you did wrong. And then she'd keep all those notes. So she passed away when I was young. My dad too, when we were young men. So later on, I came and found a number of those notes of things I wrote when I was like 10 or 11. And it was so wild because I feel like she helped us learn to communicate and learn to express ourselves. So which is why I said one of the things that I think I'd definitely be passing on is, and I say this is, whenever we get kids, the dealing is on very trivial issues. The kids are gonna have to do a presentation to explain to us why they want a particular thing, and we're gonna have to explain to them why we don't or we do, and then we all come to hopefully they see it our way, we all come to a mutual conclusion. Yeah, because I feel like for me, at least in my experience, and even I think it passed down to our family, my younger brother, my aunts. Whenever it came down to stuff like relationships and things like that, that was never a taboo topic. Like if you had a girlfriend, even when I was young, in fact, you were told, okay, you need to bring her over to the house. Like she'd come, my mom would be at that time, like because at that time when I was growing up is when you're starting to, develop these feelings for girls, and
we were not allowed to develop feelings.
Yeah, I can see how that's foreign. But yeah, so like she'd easily let us talk about it, and it kind of created an environment of a safe environment. So even my aunts who took care of us after she passed, they picked up the same thing.
I think one more thing I'd add on a tradition that I learned from LBR. LBR is Sidney's mom. That I'd like us to carry forward is also her writing notes or writing down stuff on your birthdays, because there's I don't know whether to call it. It wasn't even a poem. It was a prayer. There was a prayer that we found that Sidney's mom had written to him on his
10th or 11th.
11th birthday. And how many, like 16 years later, it was still applicable then. So, and the words were so powerful then because it was what you needed at that moment. So I can only imagine how much more it would do if both of us would get to writing, like maybe from when we have kids, when they're young, all the way to when they're adults. Yeah. So even when you're not around, at least they have something to keep them going. I think that's a tradition I'd like to carry forward. Yeah. Last one.
Do you think couples should share a bank account?
Sharing is relative. I mean, yeah, you can share an account, but how are you sharing your account? So I don't know now whether to say this from my perspective.
Yeah, go
ahead. I think you can share an account, but what is the goal of the shared account? For example, what works? Now I feel like I'm answering for both of us, but what works for us is we still have our individual accounts, but the shared account is where now we plan for our household. So anything that we plan for goes into that account or comes from that account. But we retain our individual accounts just so that when you pay yourselves, the allowance you pay yourselves, at least you still have that individuality for, I want to spend money on this, and I don't think it should be I don't know whether to call it my partner's burden. Like it's my money to spend on maybe him. If I'm surprising him, he doesn't need to know that I'm surprising him. But it's not a secret. But yeah, we have a shared account that takes care of the household stuff, and then we still have our individual account. I think it's important. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if I can add any, like you've practically said it all. I think also creates the, I'd say, the discipline and transparency required in marriage, because marriage really requires you to be transparent.
Yeah.
And because some of the things you go through individually sometimes may, like, you want to create as little friction or marriage already has its beauty and also has its challenges. So if you're gonna go through challenges, just go through the challenges that you have to go through in marriage. If there's any challenges you can avoid having, then avoid having them. Yeah. So and I'm not saying that a shared account solves financial challenges. And I'm just saying that marriage is like life by yourself. Already you have financial challenges.
Yeah.
You know, like there's certain financial things you never even get to do that you'd like to do. So if you bring in someone else on like to that, they're also having their own financial challenge, and then you're introducing a new challenge in marriage that already has its own set of challenges. I feel like it makes navigating it even more difficult. So just set yourself up for success, basically.
Yeah, but I'm pro transparency. So even though you have your individual accounts, I think transparency is good. It helps you plan better. And I think two is better than one. You can do a lot when you're together. Yeah, just think about it. Two salaries combined or two incomes combined can do a lot more than one. So, yeah.